this is a great opportunity to hear a real voice for peace and justice and real clean energy. We are going to hear a real alternative in this election. And hopefully the Green Party candidate will be Cynthia McKinney. The people, the members of the DC State of Green Party, which I'm a member and activist, which is the local affiliate of the Green Party of the United States, we voted in our primary last week, and we chose Cynthia McKinney.
Yeah, all right.
So we endorse Cynthia McKinney, and we're going to go to the convention and make our voice heard. So here's an opportunity to hear what our Cynthia McKinney has to say about her campaign, and also we're going to start out with, you're going to talk first, and then we'll have the American Blackout, which is really a very enlightening, illuminating documentary on disenfranchisement and what actually happened to Cynthia McKinney in Georgia. So let me turn the floor over to my candidate. Okay.
It's been a long time since I've been back to Washington, since I got kicked out for the second time. Chuck D, who is with Public Enemy, said I've been kicked out of Congress more times than most people have ever thought about even running for Congress. But I have an opportunity when I come back to see my former staffers, and I love them all. There's Asantawa, who was with us, and John Judge, and Adrian. Where's Adrian? She's around. She's around. And where's Lucy? Lucy is around as well. But these are all of the people who brought you revolution inside the halls of Congress, for 911 truth, for impeachment, for peace, for Pentagon accountability, for an end to the sweetheart deals, for an end to the lies of the Bush administration and the United States government as a whole, for an investigation into the counterintelligence program, the outrages associated with the counterintelligence program, the outright murders, the false jacketing of people, the false imprisonment of people. It goes on and on and on. At that time, it was illegal activity that Senator Frank Church characterized as illegal and un-American. But today, because of the Patriot Act, the Secret Evidence Act, the Military Commissions Act, those very same behaviors on the part of our government are now legal, which is quite frightening and worse. So what you're going to see with the film American Blackout is a case study in how to steal an election. And you're not going to hear the major candidates talking about election theft, election integrity. They're not going to talk about these things, but we've already experienced a 20% error rate in the New Hampshire recount. 20%. And of course, the problems with the electronic voting machines are, I mean, we all know what those problems are. So, American Blackout, we will see about 9 different ways. For those of you who are students, you can list out all of the different ways to steal an election. So, with that, I guess we will start American Blackout.
There's nothing more romantic than fantasy. And we can make the war on terror distracting like videos and TV shows with scantily clad women covering with oil, rub it in like lotion, put F-16s in the skies and battleships in the ocean. The voters won't notice. Tell them you're either with us or you're against us, and in the same breath over-vaccinate our soldiers. They'll want to believe these lies are true to the point that even Cynthia McKinney with proof won't be able to convince them that there's a connection between the war on terror and the Carlisle group. They'll need to believe these lies are true. I said over-vaccinate our soldiers and coat their ammunition with radioactive DU. Fear is the final frontier of the defenseless. If it's logical, tell them it's senseless. You're either with us or you're against us. It's all about confusion. Name it the Patriot Act if it acts against the Constitution. One man, one vote is a joke. You should be more concerned about your family being broke. Poof. Mirrors. Smoke. Now, watch me raise spending and lower taxes. The answer to any question that the 911 Commission might ask is, we believe that stem cell research is immoral. North Korea has WMD's translation, time for Operation Iraqi Freedom. Sacrifice American lives on Baghdad soil, earn more from our investments in defense and increase our supply of oil. The question is, how come we haven't done anything about the genocide in Darfur? The answer is, we believe in protecting the sanctity of marriage. Just give them a slogan. Let's roll. We're gonna smoke them out of their holes. Watch the hands. Watch the hands. In this hand, Osama bin Laden. In this hand, the World Trade Center explodes now. I know you want me to get them for you, but the $200 billion question is, how much is it worth to you for me to allow my cronies' investments in defense to work for you? Don't worry about what we knew prior to the fact about the attacks. That's a distraction. Carol Ann, look away from the oil fields. The important thing to remember is that voting for my opponent will get you killed. There's a connection between his election and your family's demise. That's why African American voters have to be disenfranchised. Neo-democracy means the electronic voting machine companies get to help us decide. That way you can win the election and still lose. That's the new world order. Global economy, no borders, no sovereignty, widow's cries, corporate plutocracy, true lies.
Our hunting club on the Oklahoma River. It was some of the best politics I've ever participated in. I've been doing this for about 20 years. Our company does voter database work. We were involved in the redistricting effort for the Republican Party. We built a voter database that we used to map out all the new districts. It was drawn deliberately by the legislature to be a Democrat seat. And if we can't put a Republican in it, then the next best thing is to put in a moderate. Was through crossover voting.
The primaries are basically for the parties to pick their own candidates who will run in the general election. One party cannot hijack the other party's primary.
Georgia is an open primary state. There's nothing illegal or even immoral about choosing to participate in one party's primary or another.
You have the choice when you go in, so that no uppity black person or progressive white person would make a mistake. They lynched union people too. So one of the latest lynching, now done electronically, was of Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney.
All it took really was communicating to the community that yes, this was an organized effort, and that if they would cross over and vote against Cynthia, they'd be joined by thousands of other people.
I had received a mail out for this group, goodbyecynthia.com, and they were using the slogans, anybody but Cynthia. I'm a white married male living in North DeKalb County, and they assumed I didn't like her either.
It shows her being erased, and when you open it, she's almost gone, and there's just a pile of eraser crumbs. The emails that we sent out were humorous. People forwarded those emails all over town, and it helped drive traffic to our site. They said every time they called somebody to ask them to cross over and vote against Cynthia McKinney, it almost seemed like people came through the phone at them saying, oh, I want to help, how can I help?
It's like going back to the all-white primary. There you have basically the same thing. The white Republicans are taken away from the black Democrats, the candidate of their choice. They're moving into their primary saying, we're not going to let you elect your candidate. We're going to dictate who your candidate is.
Even progressive journalists found it easier to join the bandwagon against me rather than to simply report accurately what I had said and done.
One morning said we're going to pass the Voting Rights Act. It was not out of the goodness of someone's heart. But people struggled. People bled. People died.